What is up, people? Hello, and welcome back to the Cup Chasers. Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League show. We got some reviewing to do, some previewing of the weekend to do as well. It's been a crazy match week, and we're looking forward to another crazy one at the weekend. But right out the rip, let's go ahead and get the likes up on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Of course, thanks for being here. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And of course, it's me, it's Nez, and Xavier will be joining us later. But we want to start with good old Pep Guardiola, good old Man City. I say they're bumbling. They're still giving away leads, but slightly improved. And I just read not 5 minutes ago that terms are agreed with Marmoush, at least verbally.
I let me do the post-mortem correctly so I don't get let other things confuse it. I watched that game, right? And it was an interesting game because, one, I didn't know the game was on because, you know, these midweek ones in January are always weird. So, like, I have to catch, like, a notification that it's on. But when I got it, it was well-known. Brentford are tough at home. They've been tough for everybody at home. So I didn't go in there super, like, confident as far as like overly confident to like walk on them, because even City in form in previous years, Brentford had given them issues. You know, I mean, Tony was there at the time, but they gave him issues. So they're no walkover. And Pep Pep normally when he calls out managers by name, he really respects them. So we talked about Thomas Frank and how good of a manager he is and how he expects him actually to be at a higher level team in the near future just because of the consistency he's had at Brentford. So, you know, I watched the game and a couple of things I saw, right? So one, there was a bunch of shots and the movement looked better. And Kova looked like he was doing what he was supposed to do. And the defense, I mean, like they had Nunez at right back. It looked sketchy. We already had some stuff with like Kyle Walker didn't, make the team because, there's rumors he wants out. I'll say rumors, even though the manager said it, but until he's gone, he's still there because if they don't sell him, then he's there. But so you're getting over a rough streak. Then your captain decides he wants to go, and now you got to figure out. And now you have a makeshift right back. And the last time Nunez played right back was against Liverpool, where he was completely decimated. Like he just got ate up. Because we know who he was facing, and you try to match the athleticism. So even with that, early on, Savinho looked good, but what I saw was Haaland looked super frustrated early, and he was getting marked. But it was a comment that I saw in the game when they played the younger teams in the cup, where they said, "Hey, it's a lot of movement up there where the striker is, and yada yada." And in the first half, Haaland was just doing I'm playing on the shoulder of the last guy thing. Mm-hmm. And Savinho was doing stuff, and you're like, okay, there's some things. De Bruyne didn't have really good balls. Like, he seems like he's not picking it up. Like, he's literally hitting guys. It takes him maybe half of the game to find rhythm, which is kind of worrying. But, it's something that I've noticed. And, like, his corners weren't great or anything like that. But then you saw Savinho do some stuff where he's in the box and he's dancing, he's beating guys, but then he's literally the king of taking an extra touch for no reason. Like, I don't know why he does it, but he takes extra touch. And every commentator has recognized that, he has skill. There's no question about the skill he possesses, but his decision making needs to be improved. And the thing about it is somebody mentioned because of the last game that his ego was kind of inflated because he had a great last game. But again, we have
to ask about his confidence, but look
who you're playing against. So, I mean, we can't really take that. And so we look at that and we see him dancing and doing whatever he does. And now he's not passing the ball to Haaland. So you see it plays out in Haaland's behavior. So, obviously, I would assume the manager said something, because you saw more movement when Haaland started to come back and get the ball, and he was helping dictate play, and he was doing some hold-up play. But runs, Savinho was not passing. So, you get the two goals, right? So Foden steals De Bruyne's goal, like he run up on it or whatever. But that was off of a bad Savinho move where he held the ball too long, right? And so he gets to score. They look like they're coasting. They take Gundogan off. and then a giant hole happens in the midfield, and the defending looked markedly worse.
Was he just gassed? Gundogan?
How was he gassed? He just got in the game. He didn't start. He was the substitute.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, he didn't start. He was a sub. He subbed on for Kova. So
I was watching 2 games at once.
No, I got you. Well, the fan base is making note of that because the big thing that they were making of, specifically because the other game, and it makes it worse, is because Nico Riley, who plays the same position, they're like, well, why don't you put him in there? Because obviously Gundo is missing it because he don't have the legs. Respect, you are who you were, but right now we don't need your legacy. We need you playing on the field.
Yeah.
And so, it's just a lot of players out of position. The center backs are trying to fix that. And so, you get the first goal because Brentford had some opportunities in the first half and the second half. So, there were chances they could have scored. So, the first one, it was like, all right, 2-1, hold it down, just possess the ball. All of a sudden, they don't know how to possess the ball. Like, you possess the ball for 3/4 of the game. Now, all of a sudden, you don't know how to do it. What? And then, you get beat on another one. And the funny thing is, it's 2-1. Savinho has a run. Him and Holland are side by side. He has a shot where there's 2 guys in front of him. He slots the ball to Holland. Holland has a clear shot. Savinho wants to be a hero. He shoots it going for, top corner, upper 90, and misses the whole thing. And Holland just stands there like, dude.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that let's just be honest. Do we want to win games or do we want stats? And he's going after stats. It's clear that's what it was. Because if you just literally put it in Holland's pass, he scores it. It's 3-1, they win the game. Period. Because it was 5 minutes left after that. But this does what he does. And then immediately Brentford goes down. Akanji loses his mind. We don't mark. And now I'm going to say he loses his mind, but that's also because the guy who was supposed to get marked should have been marked by the holding midfielder who wasn't marked there. So it is what it is. And, he scores the easiest goal. And, Ortega gets his hand on it, but, it was a great goal. I'm not knocking any of their goals. They played exactly how they should have. They could have had more than 2. And City got a draw. Do I think a draw was a fair result? I do. I think it was fair. City had some chances they missed, but Brentford's not a bad team. And City has to recognize that the chances that we talked about and the dumb goals that we talked about in the past that I've been critical about, you can't do that this year because you'll lose games, drop points, whatever. And now they're in 6th, and Newcastle, who's on the rise, is solidly in 5th. And, they're doing what they need to do. Oh, no, Chelsea's in 5th, and Newcastle's in. Is that right? Am I wrong?
Newcastle's 4th, Chelsea are 5th.
Right. But on the day that happened, yes.
Villa are level with you.
Right.
And Bournemouth are 1 point behind you. So it's
right. And those matter. And so, you look at that, and I'm it's at some point, you can put it on the manager for the substitution, but at some point, if the guy don't have the legs, Bernardo, who runs all over the field, say, hey, man, I got it. You play up. You play the 10. I feel like these players are too smart and they know enough where they're like, hey, let's just manage the team. We can play a low block too. Yeah. But they're not. And so at this point, you got to go into decision making. So while I don't blame the game's result on Savinho not passing, but there were several times where he did that could have increased the lead. But, it's all of them. It's poor decision making on him, the manager, the substitute was But, you mentioned Ipswich is the next game because I didn't know it offhand because I don't know. It's just all the days are bleeding together. But it's at Ipswich, so, Liam Delap is looking forward to playing, City. And, hopefully they show up, man. Foden looks like he's a little bit better. I think Doku will probably start this game because of just I know there's frustration with Savinho, man. I know there is because there's no way you don't pass. How you don't square it to the guy, man? The guy. That doesn't.
Pep was clearly angry. Was it halftime or was it after the game that he was in Ortega's face?
That was at the end. It was at the end.
Now, do you think he was taking out frustration on Ortega because of the goal, or was it just?
Well, he probably was talking to him, and they apparently there's like a double-edged thing where some City supporters are like, that's how he motivates, and because he gave him a hug at the end, or he's like, oh, but I think that's who Pep is, and that's how he's been. People say it's theater. It might be, but I mean, the thing about it is that if you're talking to your people, you talk to your people. Would I be surprised if Ederson starts the next game? No, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. But I also know Champions League is coming, and I'm like, okay, if Champions League is the game after this one, who's your guy? I mean, if I'm him, I play Ortega since he's been playing against PSG. So I would start Ederson this game just for balance.
You're in Paris. That's not going to be fun.
No, it's not. And they just signed. I don't know if the striker they just signed is going to be. I don't know if he'll play. He'll probably be a sub, if anything.
Who would they sign?
No, for PSG, didn't they just sign the dude from Napoli?
Kvaratskhelia? That's right. Yeah,
they just
I wonder if he'll play.
I think he'll be on the bench. He'll probably be a sub.
Oh, dude, I forgot how dire your Champions League situation, and so is that's a must win. There's a must win for both of you.
Yeah. And the thing is that
you have to.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
I think Ederson.
You think he gets Champions League?
I think Ederson plays Champions, and Ortega plays versus Ipswich.
Is that who you want for his first real game? And that's what you want against? I would go with the informed keeper. I play Ederson Sunday, and then I play Ortega for the Champions League game.
Well, in your opinion, how much better is Ederson than Ortega?
Well, Ederson is better at distribution, but the issue with it is, but who you're distributing to. If you're not distributing to anybody that's not doing anything, then you need to have a goalie who's a shot stopper, and I take the shot stopper.
Well, Paris, as far as what I've seen from them in the Champions League, especially when they played us, they pressed really high. We were able to play through them really well because, for me, when Arsenal played Paris, that was one of our best games of the whole season. One of our most impressive performances of the whole season. We were able to play through them really well, but you got to play quick, and they press high and
see that's where again I would take Ortega. I wouldn't stress playing out the back. I just wouldn't. Like, I mean, they're gonna do it, but I wouldn't like put my game plan on it because, I mean, in that game, the back line, Diaz was practicing, so Diaz might play that game, but I expect to see him on the bench because Diaz is back in training. But I would expect to see Ake, Akanji, Gavardiol, and Rico Lewis in the back line.
Rico, yeah.
And then I expect to see Kova, De Bruyne, and Bernardo in the middle. And then Foden will probably play on one of the wings and probably Savinho, even though I don't want him to play out there, but it'll probably be Savinho and Holland. That'll be the lineup.
Do you think he'll play Doku against Ipswich so that he can switch it back to playing Savinho against Paris? Yeah, sure. Yeah,
well, because I think Savinho is Doku, in my mind, Doku is great against a lesser team and a great super sub for change of pace against a bigger team. I think what he offers off the bench is good. So if Savinho is like poor, Doku could come in and spell him, and he would add something. Whereas I think if you do it the other way, I don't think Savinho brings the same dynamism in a small space of time because of how generally just the decision making is bad. Like Doku's not great at decision making, but he will get in the box and he'll get shots off. Yeah. Like he'll get shot and he'll score. Like he clearly scores at a higher rate than him. So if I want to close a game, I want to close one with him. I wouldn't want to close with Savinho, if I'm being honest.
Is Grealish a forgotten man, or what's up with Jack Grealish?
I mean, I would not be surprised to see him go in the summer. But
there's not going to be much space against Ipswich. They love, like I say, they like that low block. They've been doing it against everybody.
He might. Well, I mean, if I would be analytical, because I was just talking about the Champions League lineup for the lineup against Ipswich, I could see
we brought that up because I figure it's going to affect the Ipswich lineup. Right.
So I think Grealish. I could see Grealish starting on the wing with Doku on opposite, and Holland obviously would start. I think he still plays Foden again because I think Foden needs to get repetitions, but he'd get subbed off. De Bruyne has been playing 90 minutes regularly, so De Bruyne will start but probably play 60. I think he'll start Gundogan in this game. And the reason I think he'll do that because to get Kova rest. And yeah, that because he'll play Rico. He'll play Rico in this game, and Rico will invert to protect Gundo. So I think that'll be to do that, because I don't think they're terribly worried about like Ipswich in the counter. I mean, City is clearly susceptible to the counter, but I think they're more fine covering it against Ipswich as opposed to PSG. I mean, if I'm thinking about bodies, am I willing to lose a Premier League game or the Champions League game? I got to win the Champions League game.
I was going to say, at this point in your season, the priority is definitely the Champions League.
Yeah, but, so I mean, and we dropping points in the league anyway. So I mean, you go
to look past Ipswich is going to be the game that they could pull another Chelsea, because obviously I was watching United on the TV, but I had Ipswich and Brighton on the iPad. And so I had an eye on it, and Amari Hutchinson and Broadhead, I think I'm not sure what his first name is, but Broadhead, they were on the counter, were giving Brighton all kinds of trouble, man. And they were coming in, they'd carry the ball to the top of the box, and then they would look for the shot immediately, like quick stuff, which is y'all been really susceptible to. So if you overlook them, it could get hairy.
Well, being honest, I think it's almost in a situation where the team is not strong enough to be like, well, or hasn't performed at a level high enough to be, well, can you over? I'm being honest. I'm not saying to overlook it, but whatever the result is the result in the Ipswich game, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I mean, you got to win the PSG game. You have to.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the thing is, you're traveling to both places. So, you're going to Ipswich, or you're going up in the Eastlands. Nice town, good pubs, all that stuff. But, hey, man, if you get a draw, which they don't really want, but if you get a draw or it's a hard done loss, whatever, man, you got to win the next one. It does not matter. Like, it literally does not matter. No, because losing that game, so say you went against Ipswich and then you lose to PSG. Beating Ipswich meant nothing.
Nothing.
Meant nothing. It's just.
I agree with that for sure. And the thing about it for me that's kind of got me thinking, I'm not so sure, because like when I did my tips and predictions video, like I just finished the one that I'm going to publish in the morning. I've just finished it, and so when I did it, I was like, I got a sneaking suspicion, man, that City might have an eye on Tuesday, and it might be a draw. So I bet the under, because instead of like the money line, even though by the example of the Brighton game today and a lot of the Ipswich games, they kind of they just don't quite have, they're like Luton. They just don't quite have the quality, right? And so if Holland is even a little bit efficient, your quality should come through, right? If Holland just dunks in 2 goals in the first half, your quality should come through. The only problem is you've got this shaky mentality when you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's all on Paris. It's all, it's all, you got to win that one. There's no drop in that game. If you lose that game, you might not even make playoffs. Like, you'll be in jeopardy to make the playoff position.
Right. And the thing is that I'm looking at the thing. There's an article where Foden I guess the press asked him about the league, and he's like, we're not stupid. We know the league's gone. I mean, it just showed like the Ipswich game does not matter. Like, it doesn't at all. It does not matter.
It matters for them. It matters for them.
Absolutely.
Every game is going to matter for them for sure. But yeah.
Like, City will go out and be professional. They're not going to try to lose the game. Right. But they're not like, hey, man. Hey.
Right.
It kind of is what it is,
Yeah. It should be that'll be an intriguing one. It'll be an interesting one to see how, where their minds are, how they show up, what I mean? It'll be interesting.
Well, it makes me wonder, because for the Paris game, if these signings that are signed are there, will they be on the bench? Because I mean, all of them are fit. Like, all these guys are doing the medicals and all that stuff. So
Marmoush played today.
Huh?
Marmoush played like yesterday.
Right. Well, some articles said he's supposed that the coach has him slated to play on the weekend, which means that if I'm understanding right, City will should have him signed and announced tomorrow because he needs the.
Well, the thing here on ESPN, it says source: Man City reach agreement for Frankfurt star Omar Marmoush. It says verbal agreement. A source told ESPN. A compromise over a fee. Final details still. He won't. I mean, maybe he'll be there in Paris.
Well, he can't play. He can't play anyways.
You're right.
He can't play until the next round. He can't even play.
You're right. That's true. Yep. Well,
now the other guys can play. The two defenders that signed, they can play, but he can't play.
Are they already in the door?
Well, their deals were done before Marmoush's, so I think the report I read was both of them were in Manchester this morning doing medical. So that means announcements should come tomorrow, and they might be on the bench.
Might be there for
the Champions League.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think because they're young, they can be registered at. Well, I don't know if they can be registered, but I know they're both under 21, so I think they can be on the B teams. So I think they might be able to register them for that to travel. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I wonder if the Champions League squads already have to be in, though.
I don't know.
I mean, it's weird.
This is weird because, the Champions League knockouts, not knockouts, the group stages don't normally go into the transfer window.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's weird. But I think that because they're so young, it might be the reason why they did that too, is they can't go. Now, here's the other reason why the Ipswich game has, we all know it, but has a lesser value. If you just spent, if it's 60 million on Marmoush and you don't make it to the next round of the Champions League, he signed for nothing.
Yeah.
So there's no way they're not going. Like, that makes zero sense. Like, why the guy, because Frankfurt is in Europa, right? Is that right? Or they're in Champions League? They're in Europa, right? I think Europa.
I am not sure. Let's take a look. Europa League. Yeah, they're in the Europa League.
So, is he willing to give up European football for, okay, it's money and probably great money, but like to not play anymore? There's no way that they made that signing like that just to be in the league.
That's an Arsenal move. That's an Arsenal move. Remember, we signed Neto to play in a cup that he's cup tied in. Yeah,
man. So like Frankfurt is going through. Like Frankfurt is clearly going through on years. They're fifth.
They're fifth. Yeah,
they're going through on.
They're in the knockout. They'll be in the knockouts for sure.
So there's no way that he signed, and City said to him that the Cheeky and the manager is like, yeah, man, we're signing and we're not going to be in Champions League. So, you're just here for the league. There's no way that was the conversation.
The league that Foden just said was gone.
Yeah, there's no way that's the conversation. Yeah. So they're absolutely going for it against Paris.
Yeah, that's a throw everything you got at it. Dude, that's gonna be a spicy game because
yeah, man.
The mentality at City is not what it once was, and yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll see. It's not, but I think
Paris are atrocious, and Paris are terrible in the Champions League.
Paris but it only. What's the old people thing that the sun shines on the dog's butt or something like that? One of the things. I don't know what one of them.
Yeah. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again.
Yeah, you still got to go play, and I look at that. You still got to go play the game, and obviously they're going to try to win against Ipswich, but the focus is absolutely on Paris, no question.
Absolutely is.
And now that I've said it out loud, it makes the signings of the two young center backs make sense, and it makes sense that they were done first. Like, all of that makes sense now because if they can be available, they'll be available for Paris. Because you just need legs at that point.
Oh goodness, yeah, I agree. My screen is doing really weird things right now.
Is it a ghost?
Well, my computer is. Hold on. Yeah, having some technical difficulties, folks. Sorry, my computer is like on its last leg, and I'm having to plug it into another. There we go. We're back. All right, perfect. I'm back up. Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll switch it over to my computer is moving like Arsenal. Have been in recent times, but got the win in the North London Derby.
An important one.
It's a massive win, man. It's a massive win. To hear some Arsenal fans are taking it and running with it as that's like the turnaround. That's like the super morale boost that we've been waiting for.
Well, you need to feel it. You need to feel it somewhere.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. You gotta love beating Spurs, but it was the same performance. The performance didn't change. The game was exactly what I expected. That there was a part of me that's like maybe Ange won't sit back, but Ange won't follow the blueprint, that's out there to play against Arsenal. But he kind of half did. He did what he did against you, and was hoping that it would be the same. But they offered nothing going forward. And if you look at Arsenal's last few games, that's like Arteta's whole strategy. You can't score if you don't have the ball, and so we play defense by trying to outpossess you. And then more so than we have in the last 3 or 4 games, there was energy in this one. The counter press was really, really energetic. We were really at it from the word go. There was no, we didn't do anything against Man United until they went down to 10 men. Until Dalot got sent off, we were asleep. But in my notes for the North London Derby, my third note is already more energy than the first 70 minutes of Manchester United. I was already, they looked like they knew what the game meant. They knew that, we can, we can't drop, they knew that they can't drop that game. We can't lose that game.
Not
That's
to them.
one, you just, not to these guys. You can't, and,
well, that early goal too, man. I mean, it's 20 minutes in, but I mean, that first goal, you're just kind of like.
I'll be honest with you, man. My normally, my reaction would be to break things, to scream at the top of my lungs and throw stuff. But I was just like, even going into the game, when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, but it wasn't inspiring, but it was weird. It's weird. Every Arsenal game to me seems to play out the exact same way. Everything that, we'll be playing good, we'll be ticking along, we'll be doing good. Other team hasn't had any opportunities at all. They haven't even sniffed the goal. And then in the span of 5 minutes, they'll have 3 or 4 shots and score a goal. Just out of nowhere. And it's like, what are we doing? A couple of times, Thomas Partey just didn't step to the guy. On the play that they won the corner kick right before they scored, Jet Spence ran 90 yards with the ball. And Partey just right alongside him. Yeah, man, let's go for a stroll. You come all the way down here. And then Jet Spence plays the ball, keeps running, and Partey's like, do your thing, bro. Keep going. Keep going, man. You got this. And then when he gets the pass and Partey's like, oh crap, he's about to cross that, he finally closes him down. And then it's just a whole 3 or 4 minutes of madness where we don't mark up on the corner kick. Son's by himself and it's another deflected goal. So it's like, guys, this is easy to defend. Just step to him. And it feels like irony to me almost, because Arsenal are ridiculously wasteful in front of goal, but most teams are clinical against us, are efficient against us, because we restrict you to very, very little chances.
So you have to be, yeah.
But it's like, one mistake and we get punished, but Spurs make mistake after mistake, and Trossard whiffs in front of the goal. Havertz header right at the keeper. Martin Odegaard, somebody, Curtis Shaw on Curtis Shaw TV, go subscribe to his channel. He's a good Arsenal channel. He says that Martin Odegaard has pillows on his feet. Like he's got bruises on his feet and it hurts when he strikes the ball. When he gets into the box, he's just has a noodle on his leg. Dude,
this has been an interesting season for him. It's been a very interesting
It's been a really weird season for him. He was not great, and then he got injured.
Yep.
For a long time. And the first 5 games, up until this one, he was awful. Like, I was calling him names, awful. And then the performance against Spurs, while everything up to the box was pretty awesome, was good, was the normal Odegaard that we need to see. He had the energy. He was, getting into it, getting stuck in the press. You love to see that. But when we get into the box, it's just like, oh. It's like Sterling infected the rest of them. It's like Raheem the Dream came to town and put poison in everybody's water bottle.
I mean, Raheem has to be the dream since Saka's out. So, it's what you have.
And the thing that irks me so much about Sterling is we knew. Well, I'm not going to use past tense because he hasn't changed. We know what he is. He was that at Chelsea, and now he is still that. He's just in a different shirt. Run really fast. Dude, one time, he's dribbling through the midfield. I don't know if he was going too fast for his own legs or he forgot how to run at one point. He literally looked like a toddler that was going too fast and didn't realize it, and so he's leaning too far forward and no one touched him. No one bumped him. He didn't run past anybody. He kicked the ball ahead of him and then did one of these because he almost tripped. Just man, it's when he gets close to the box, it's how when you have 2 magnets and you try to put them together and they repel each other. It's when he gets to the box, his foot and the ball just repel each other, and he has just the weirdest dumb touches ever. So when Sterling is running with the ball at the defender or whatever, I'm this ought to be good. This ought to be entertaining. Let's see what kind of weird kick out of bounds he's gonna do here, or he's gonna foul somebody. I never expect him to do anything at all. I really don't. Should have scored again, of course. He gets into good positions, man. He makes the run. He's there. But we know this. Why? Why? It's the same.
I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know what's happened to him, man. And the thing is that it looks like he just turned 30. So, I mean, he has maybe 2 more seasons at top tier clubs, and then after that, he's mid-table. Because
I don't know, man. It's not
he's a speed merchant.
I was gonna say it's not like he's slowed down that much.
No, I think he'd just be a speed merchant.
It's just
it's the skill, man. I don't know what happened to him. It happened at City, obviously, because he fell off at City, but he had a nice period where he scored a ton of goals, and then
he was surrounded by.
But he was at the tail end. He was surrounded by guys that the running jokes of how many assists De Bruyne could have if Sterling could finish.
Yeah,
he'd have tons. So the Sterling at the end of his City reign, you're what? People were they didn't dislike him. They were just dude, you're literally, not scoring goals for us, and we're not winning Champions Leagues because of you.
Yeah, I get it. And I just.
But I wish he clearly has it in him.
Look, man, look, I'm heavily critical and I get mad at Arteta and I call people names and I'm and I'm like very critical of things. But I want to be wrong, man. If somebody's wearing the Arsenal shirt, I don't care. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them do well. I don't believe in Kai Havertz. I want to be wrong.
I don't know if Kai Havertz believe in Kai Havertz.
Oh no, he doesn't. He's got zero confidence. Zero confidence. You can see that. He worked his ass off. I
Well,
will
look,
give
he
him
don't
that.
ever questions that though. Like his work rate is always there. It's always there.
But see, but like he just other than that, he was horrendous. He was terrible. Other than that. And I don't have anything against the guy. I just don't think he's good enough for Arsenal. I don't have anything against Sterling. It baffles me that why he's here. And I get it. Arsenal are PRFC. And so they think by doing random shit, they can just appease the fan base. And some of us are appeased. Like you can listen to some of the things that the guys are saying, and you can see that there's a divide in the fan base that the players themselves are aware of. Because Declan Rice made the comment. Is that what you're about to talk about?
No,
Because Declan Rice, in his post-match interview, made a comment about he said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing here, because the journalist asked him about social media, and he says, well, you can see that the perception on social media is different than the real fans in the stadium because of the atmosphere tonight. Now, and I'm like, I don't take offense to that at all. Yes, I am one of those social media, watching from afar fans. And I don't take any offense at all to Declan saying, oh, the real fans are in the stadium or whatever. But I also noted, like, there's a clear, he knows that there's like a clear divide, right? But it also tells me that they're watching social media, that they're watching stuff like this, right? They're watching the AFTVs of the world, And when Kai Havertz, the first time he blocked the kick from the goalkeeper, and they started singing "Waka Waka," I was like, oh.
Well, the thing about it is that if we're thinking about it as we think about when we used to play, we only really care about the people who are in the building with us anyways for the game, because that's what we're feeding off of. So I mean, I can understand Rice's perspective of, hey man, I need the people in the building with me to be on my side, because I can't see, feel, or hear anybody on social media while I'm playing. And so that's good, but it also, I mean, I guess it's the job of the crunkies to get your players, to get people to want to come to the stadium, even though I still don't get the whole, and I know we haven't talked about it, but the whole talking about you don't have money kind of, or the illusion of we'll see, we don't have money to go in the market. I'm like, Arsenal don't have money. Wait, but anyways,
highest ticket prices in the world, and it's 15 quid for a hot dog. Just ask Lee Judges from AFTV.
And they don't have money.
And we're broke.
So I don't get it. So I mean, unless they're doing, and this is, I mean, because I don't want, that you got Drake suing people, and this is not real, but hopefully they're not money laundering or doing whatever improprieties with their money, like Man U does with their money, where they take the money out of the club, right? And again, that's all alluded to. I don't know if that's real or not. I don't want to be added on anybody.
The crunkies are just disinterested. It's not that they're just disinterested. The LA Rams, dude, they're all in on the Rams, bro. Just they're into the next round of the playoffs. Who they got this weekend, So
yeah.
Like Stan is all in. There was a buzz because Josh flew in for the North London Derby. He had to fly in because he's not around.
Yeah, he was in it because they played as Commanders. I think they played Commanders or something like that. But
that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. So they're not even around. Like, you know what I mean? I just, and that's why. I mean, that I think that's there's a lot going on here, right? I think, one, to your point about the fans in the stadium, I think it is important that they get behind this team specifically. This is not an objective comment. It's a subjective comment about this group of guys, and it's not something I'm happy about. When Arteta is going on about, oh, I love the players, it makes me, and this whole confidence crisis stuff, and the fact that we had to give Kai Havertz the penalty kick to get him his first goal because he doesn't have any confidence and blah, blah, blah. Like, are you guys grown men or are you children who need friends on MySpace? Like, these are supposed to be grown-ass men who can handle criticism because you're getting paid millions of dollars. You should be able to deflect and handle criticism and understand and have a little bit of self-awareness that if literally everyone around you, that's fans, opponents, other teams, can see what needs to be done and you're not taking accountability for it. And this is more on Arteta, the taking accountability thing, than it is on the players themselves. But like Kai knows, he knows. That's why his confidence is in the shitter. You could see it in the game. He doesn't want to shoot because he knows that he's been horrible. He knows that, and he's got to fix up, as they say in England.
But but I mean, realistically, just as in other days in lives where you just got to play the game, man, and find a way to be valuable where you can help produce, man. And I mean, yeah, running your ass off is good, but you got to produce in other ways. Like, okay, I ran around and I didn't do nothing. Like that doesn't. You can't say you ran the 3 football fields and you didn't produce anything. Like that's nothing. And the thing about it is that, I mean, I know there's the buzz that, Arsenal are 4 points back. Obviously, Liverpool have a game in hand, and Liverpool play Brentford. So I know the fingers are crossed that Brentford gives them hell, when they play them. Because if they do, and I mean, the thing about it is
they play right before us too. They're the 10 o'clock. Right. We're at 12:30.
And the thing about it is even you can appreciate the mentality I had a little while back where I was like, I don't root for teams to lose, but just I need you to drop points. So a Brentford draw is just as good. You don't need it. You don't care if Liverpool loses. You just need them to not get a bunch of points. So if Liverpool goes to 48. And Arsenal win, you're on 46, they're on 48. Hey, man, those footsteps get loud because Liverpool, which we've all talked about, we give them credit for where they are, but Liverpool have looked very human. And because they look very human, we said this before they went on a run. And while they were on the run, we still were consistent that they look like they can get beat, though. And the thing about it is you look at that so I can get where you want to start creating that narrative of, hey, inside of this stadium, inside of this locker room, we really care about what the energy is there. So, as an external Arsenal fan, and I mean, obviously, if you had a chance to be there, you would be there. But so you should maintain that criticism, and you are, but you should maintain and stay stout on that because they still need accountability on what they need to get done because. Even with the win, the whole world knows Arsenal needs a striker. Like it's. I mean, as a City supporter, I'm fine if you never get one, but I understand that it makes all the sense in the world that there's a guy in Ukraine or where do they play? Where does what's his name play with the mask? Where does he play?
Osimhen? He's playing in Turkey right now.
Turkey. I'm sorry. I thought he was in Ukraine. I thought he played for
He's owned by Napoli. His contract is owned by Napoli, but he plays for Galatasaray.
Right.
Yeah.
So and you look at that and you're like, well, pay the money. Like literally, just pay the money.
That's the thing. Like everyone knows we're desperate for a striker, yes, but release clauses don't increase.
Just pay the money.
They can't increase a release clause written into a contract because we're desperate. Just pay the 65 M's.
Pay it.
That one blows my mind, man. But I finally figured it out. It came to me, and it's not a new realization. It's something that I said a year ago. Arteta hung his hat on Havertz. Havertz has to work out. But here's what it is. I haven't really thought about it until recently. That contract is what's keeping us from signing another huge name. Because if we sign a big name who is arguably better than Havertz, who knows that they're better than Havertz, and then says, oh, you're on 275 a week? Jesus is on 265. I want 400. I want 350 a week. Isak coming in. Yeah, I want 350. Gyökeres coming in. I'm supposed to be the guy that's going to win the league. I want 300 M's. I want 300 a week.
I still don't see the problem with that. Pay him. Pay him.
I get
because
it.
The thing about it is like, for example, for the Havertz thing, I agree with you. And I know you're going to a different point. I'm looking at it. If you put a striker in front of Havertz now plays in the midfield, even though I know you don't want him in the left 8 or playing the 10. That's where he'll be. So you stick him in the midfield, which is where he's a midfielder. He's not a striker. And and then just go from there. If he stinks it up there, then it is what it is. But
there's one suggestion that I've heard recently from the AFTV guys that I think would absolutely unlock our team. Switch Odegaard. Take Odegaard out of the farthest forward of our midfielders, and then we could put Havertz there if we had the 9, because even when Havertz is in the left 8, he's so far forward. He just tends to stray really far forward, and we get exposed because Rice has to do so much work by himself in the middle of the field when Havertz is in that left 8. There's a huge hole there because he's pushed so far forward. Switch him. Switched him because Odegaard likes to come deeper anyway. Not only will we no longer be a one-dimensional down the right-hand side, but also it'll give Odegaard something different. You have to be in that right 8 in Arteta's formation. That's the guy that's pressing. That's the guy that's starting the press. Kai works hard. He presses well. So he'll understand the role. I think it'll be a master stroke because Odegaard no longer has the pressure of being like the sole creator, and it might unlock Trossard and Martinelli to have better seasons, have better performances, that they get more service. I just think it's worth an idea. It's worth a shot. Like, do something different, Don't bring in Kieran Tierney as a forward ever. What was that? See, if that doesn't tell, that's what I'm saying. Literally everything that's happening is pointing to striker, by a number. Literally everything that's happening. Even Declan Rice said we need somebody. Everything is pointing to buy a striker. And they're there. They're there. They're out there. We're talking to Benjamin Sesko, which is dumb. He's not even the highest scorer on his own team.
Well, I mean, that's why I made that joke about Neymar, man. I mean, obviously Neymar doesn't fix it, but I mean, hey, Neymar is available.
I saw a thing that said we should go get Benzema on a 6-month loan. What are we doing? Kareem Benzema, what are we doing? To be fair, he might still be a better finisher.
I was about to say, would he have scored them goals that Havertz is missing? My answer is yes.
I would have scored the goals that Havertz is missing. Did you see the miss that Anthony had today? Anthony would score the goals that Havertz is missing. Dude. That's probably not true. That's probably not true. Anthony's atrocious. That was horrific today. But yeah, man, it's just all pointing to the same thing. And I think that, I mean, the only hope that we really have, other than just praying for Liverpool to drop points, is some of these guys finding form again. You can see it. We've both talked about mentality, in all areas of the game or whatever. And confidence, even though for me, confidence should not be an issue. You get paid millions of dollars to play. You should be confident. You should already think your shit doesn't stink. Like, how are all of them not as confident as Zlatan? You know what I'm saying? You guys are getting paid stupid money to ball out. You guys are absolute ballers. I don't understand why there are crises of confidence.
Yeah, that's what makes Zlatan Zlatan, you know.
But they're there. That my not understanding it doesn't mean it's not there, right? So maybe we saw Jesus get that classy little dink, his first goal over Palace, and he went on to score 5 more. Maybe, just maybe, Trossard hits a nice shot. Yes, the keeper could have done better, but he gets a nice rip. It goes in. Maybe, just maybe, that's a confidence booster. You know, but I don't know. We need somebody to just hit form. Maybe Kyle hit form again and get it 6 or 7 goals, 5 more goals, maybe, you know, but even still, like, if you go back 2 years ago, we could have got Isak at, what was it, 60? A couple summers ago?
Boy.
Dude, if we would have bought, and we didn't do it because he had scored like 4 goals for Villarreal. Or what? Or some. It was Sociedad. He was at Sociedad. He had scored like 4 goals, and so we didn't take the risk. Dude, if we had Isak last season, we win the league.
Do you think Arteta unlocks Isak? Because I do think a lot of these guys are connected to their success and their form is connected to who their manager is. And I'm not saying Arteta won't unlock it, but I mean, clearly what's going on at Newcastle fits what he does as a striker.
Well, yeah, there's definitely, I think that's Arteta's biggest block when it comes to buying the likes of Gyökeres, the likes of Osimhen. I think Osimhen fits us perfectly. Gyökeres maybe not so much, Isak maybe not so much. Like Haaland fits us perfectly. You know, that kind of profile. The big man in the center fits us perfectly. That's why he bought Havertz. That's why he thought Havertz could work in the 9. Is because what Arteta's currently trying to do, because of his so it's all become a chain reaction, right? 2 seasons ago, in 22-23, when we were blitzkrieging people, nobody was playing low block. Nobody thought you needed a low block to play against Arsenal. And so we were destroying teams. Come the next season, everybody, low block, 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 low block. And now we've been found out. And now this season, it's low block, low block, low block, low block, low block, low block, low block. Arsenal games are so boring because everybody's playing low block against us and we play super, super slow. So he doesn't want to buy an Isak who scores tons of goals in open space. He doesn't want to buy an Ollie Watkins who scores tons of goals in open space. John Durant scores tons of goals in open space. He's looking for somebody who can beat low blocks, who can score without tons of space. Sporting are a sit back or Ruben Amorim sit back and counter. Space for Gyökeres to work in. Isak, tons of space because Newcastle transitioned so fast. But without the space, Victor Osimhen. That's why we need Victor Osimhen, dude, because in Italy, it's a lot more compact. The defending is a lot more compact. And so Osimhen will be used to playing against blocks like that. Go do it. Go do it. He's the profile. He's the right guy. That's the one for me. And that's why he's looking at Sesko. Because Sesko has kind of that same profile. I'm not a big fan of Sesko, to be honest with you. But that's the way I see it, is that Arteta is very cognizant of the fact that we're facing a low block every week. Every week. You know, and so he doesn't think that a striker who's bagging mad goals with all this open space against teams who don't play low blocks are going to be effective at Arsenal.
And that's a fair assessment. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, the ability to unlock it really, really matters on the coach's play style, the adjustments, the way they're directing them mentally. So it really matters. And I mean, you got Villa next, so I mean that's going to be a very, 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 and it's away too, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's at home.
It's at home. Okay, that's still going to be a super interesting game, man.
It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be so tough. Villa are not great away from home, though. They've won 1 in 6, and that was last week at Everton.
It's Everton
2 days ago at Everton. But yeah, man, I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all. It's going to be tough. And again, like I say, I see it going the same way. We're going to restrict. We're going to try to have all of the ball. They're going to sit a little bit deeper and counter quickly, which they are phenomenal at. Morgan Rogers, Tielemans, Jacob Ramsey is having a great season. Freaking John Duran will probably start. Ollie Watkins will probably come in at some point. Like, dude, they just bought Daniel Malen from Dortmund. He might start.
And you got Emi Martinez between the sticks, and as much as people might not like his personality, there's no question about him as a player.
Dude, I still think he's better than any goalkeeper we've had since we let him go.
Who, Emi? Yeah, he's amazing.
Emi Martinez. It's probably once again, it's probably just he's got that attitude that Arteta doesn't want to deal with.
But that goes. Did we say that here? Were we talking about the egos, or did we say that?
We might have said that. We might have been talking about the egos before we went live.
But I think that your point is a big deal. That that while we don't know that for sure, Arteta seems to be avoiding like the big egos because he may not have the confidence to manage those guys to get the best out of them. And I mean, if we look at Guardiola, it's funny because like when he ran into Zlatan and all that stuff, I mean, he ran into egos, but he's like, hey, I'm me and I'm a winner. So you do what I tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, he shipped Zlatan and he shipped Eto'o and he shipped
but that was before
immediately.
But he didn't win anything yet. Like when he shipped Zlatan, he hadn't won anything yet. And so you can see a little bit of the Arteta thing, but the difference is Pep didn't go that long without winning. Arteta still hasn't won. And so, could you get a guy who's won something to come in? So, like, for example, I know you mentioned Osimhen because they won Serie A, if I'm not mistaken. Osimhen won Serie A. Is that right? So, I mean, is he going to come in and what is he going to tell Osimhen? Osimhen was in the Champions League final. Is that right? Was he in the Champions League? No, he made the semifinal.
I don't think he made the final, no.
I think he made the semifinal. And he won the league. Yeah, he's won cups. So I mean, in his mind, is it in the back of his mind? Well, I don't want this guy because he's already won something, and I can't tell him what to do. And hey, man, I'm trying to win. I don't care who it is. I don't care who gets the credit. I just need the dang trophy. And so, I think
bring Zava.
Even Zava. But I mean, I think the point you made about the egos. I didn't think about it, but I could see where there might be a threat of that, where maybe Arteta is avoiding people that might have egos. Because if you think about it, I'm being honest, like Odegaard was a cast-off from Real Madrid. They was like, oh, we don't want him, right? And then he was like, oh, he's a waste. Now, obviously, he went in and he was supposed to be a phenom, but then he came to Arsenal. He was like, he was tossed away. I mean, Rice.
Look at our lineup though. Look, that's our whole. That's all of his signings.
But which means you got to bring somebody that's one.
Jesus, Zinni and Jesus were on their way out. Yeah. Sterling on his way out. Havertz was on his way out. At Chelsea when we brought him in. It's he never.
Rice is the only one. Rice is the only guy that you brought in that had just won something and came in, but there weren't high expectations of him either.
And he's not, and it wasn't like he was from Real Madrid or something, though.
Right.
It was West Ham. It wasn't like
there's a giant thread of truth in that. Now that I'm saying he wants the guys with the chip on their shoulders, and I hate to be that guy, but I need a guy who's won. Like I need somebody who's won something. I mean, because even when
he tried to band-aid that over with Jorginho, but come on.
But I mean, he was on his last legs, but he was a cast-off. He's a cast-off too. You need a guy who was winning. And the funny thing is, and now if we kind of say it in the same way, Osimhen is a cast-off. He sounds like the perfect signing for you.
He's the perfect signing.
Just sign him. He's a cast-off too.
They don't want him there. He wants to leave. He's got a release clause. we're obviously have money. We've put down 50 promised for Zubamendi in the summer. We've obviously got money. I mean, two Januaries ago, we were trying to get Mud Dog for 90 million. So there's money. Spend it.
Just the Mudryk money with the Zubamendi money, you still have money to pay to get the Osimhen if we had that same theoretical money. I don't know, man. I can't call it.
But I mean, I know my club. I know the team. I was honestly surprised when we did the business to get Trossard and Kivior and Jorginho all in one window. I was surprised that we did that in January, all in January, 2 seasons ago. I was shocked that we did that much in January. I will not be even the least bit surprised if we do nothing at all. I won't be a little bit surprised at all.
But I hate to be that guy, but this feels like your realist opportunity too. I mean, your other ones are real, but I mean, Liverpool, like if the rumors that are out there about Liverpool of Salah and Trent and Van Dijk being gone, man, this is like the realest thing. You could just, okay, they're gonna ride on emotion, but we watched Liverpool ride on emotion with Klopp last year, and they tried to use that. And I mean, they're fumbling now. They're literally doing the same thing they did last year. And because Arsenal know they're not facing the City sort of thread of thought and experience, this feels, I mean, they should be really confident going into this. You sign a striker.
That's what I'm saying, man. If we sign a bagsman right now, and then say we sign, say for the conversation's sake, we sign Gyökeres, and then we beat Villa and Liverpool drop points. So say Brentford get the draw, we sign Gyökeres tomorrow and beat Villa on Saturday.
Ooh.
We'll be buzzing, man. You know how much that would unite the fan base?
Yeah, what's happening?
There would still be the Arteta alters, and I would probably still be one of them, because I just don't believe it. I just don't really and truly believe it. But if we bought Gyökeres, that would go a long way to turning me around to be like, look, we never do anything in January, and we've gone and splashed 80 M's for the best striker in 2024. And I'll be like, oh, hold up. And then say we had a resounding win against Villa. And then Gyökeres comes in. He probably can't play in the Champions League, can he?
He won't be able to play not until the knockouts. But you guys are in the knockouts, so that's not an issue.
Yeah. But still, that would be just that would go so far into like quieting the disquiet in the fan base. But I just don't see that happening. And yes, I'm delusional, like most Arsenal fans. I still hold out a tiny little candle for the league. I'm watching every second of every Liverpool game, just like, oh, come on, please. But I don't know, man. We're gonna need something. We're gonna continue to need things to go our way, because the way our mentality of we're up a goal, let's try to protect this.
Now I'm trying to see if anybody was looking at the transfer stuff to see if anybody's up there for you guys, but I'm not seeing nothing outside of next summer.
No. Leipzig don't want to let Sesko go in January. They say he's too important to the team. I mean, literally, like, how have you seen Zombieland, the movie Zombieland with Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone?
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but I did see it.
So at the very beginning, the scene where he's explaining his rules or whatever, and he runs around to the car and then drops his keys, and then he has to do another lap of the parking lot, and then the word cardio is just blinking on and off, boom, 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 to be like, look, he's still running or whatever. That's what I feel like. It's just awesome, blinking on and off, like just floating in the sky atop the Emirates like the bat signal. Do it. we should see if we could figure out how to do that. Let's get a bat signal, but make it awesome, Victor Osimhen, and shine it over top of the Emirates.
I mean, he has the Batman.
Work.
He has the Batman mask on. I don't know what else.
He does already wear the mask. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm not. I don't know, man. I'm not incredibly confident about Villa. We gotta win. It's but it's no more than we have to win every other game. But it's gonna be tough. The first goal.
Yeah.
I think the first goal in every Arsenal game is so important. It's so important because if we don't get it, I'm worried. Because we were lucky to get that corner. It wasn't a corner. It was definitely not a corner for our first goal. Not even close. So if that's the kind of luck we're going to need for the rest of the season, oof, look out.
Take it.
I'll take it, obviously, but we're not going to get that kind of luck in the next 18 games or 16, whatever games are left. 16,
hey, man, you never know. You do the dark arts.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I don't give a shit. I want to win. Do what you got to do. Yes, it was a disgusting, horrendous dive that Kai Havertz did to get the penalty versus Manchester United. But if if Odegaard scores that and we win the game, I'm going to be very happy. I'll call it out. Yeah, disgusting dive. Ref missed that one. We move on. You know what I mean? Like, the refs miss a lot of stuff. And I'll call it out. The refs are horrendous. Yeah, but they're horrendous for everybody.
Yes.
And Arsenal fans definitely cannot say anything about an agenda against us after these last two games.
Man, it's the refereeing is just bad across the board. I don't even pick teams anymore for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, man. So I thought X was going to join us, but we'll go ahead and move on. We'll get a little bit in on Chelsea.
Yeah, man. And whatever that was he did.
No wins in 5. 3 draws, 2 losses. What's happened over there? I feel like they're
so inconsistent, man.
Is it because they're young, you think? They got one bad result and then they got hit with another bad result right after and it's just spiraled?
I don't know because, he doesn't change the lineup like a ton. So, these guys play together. It's just...
Did you hear about Trevor Chalobah?
I think it's more of they're in their own heads, man. Like, I think like when X and Patrick both have said like, we're not for real. It's because these guys, they ebb and flow with the moment. So if they're high, and if anything taps them down, then they're just down. And I think like if Reece doesn't score that free kick, man,
they definitely lose.
They lose that. And so you look at that and you're like, and we've already discussed, you brought it up, Bournemouth is for real. Like they're a good team. Yeah. So, you look at that and I think Chelsea has this propensity to go in against teams that they see under them and they play that way. But Patrick and X have been saying that
they've called that out,
2 years, man. And the thing that is super important to understand is that these other teams that they're going to play, they don't respect I think Cole Palmer's a great player, but there's a reason he's at Chelsea and not at City, and it's a mentality thing. And I'm not saying he's not a good player, but just you can just imagine if how different Cole Palmer would have been if he stayed at City. He'd be we talked about it. He'd be starting now and he'd be playing for something, right? And it would change, but his desire was, I gotta be seen. And the thing about it is that, but patience comes with that, right? You weren't an outcast at all, which is why I can jokingly say that's why Arsenal didn't want him. He wasn't an outcast.
He wasn't an outcast.
He wasn't an outcast. And so you look at that and you're like, well, what are they doing? And so they play Wolves this week, but they play at home. Now, Wolves they're not good, but
Cunha's back.
But Wolves would give them something if they don't take them seriously.
They got their best player back, yeah.
Yeah,
and Gonzalo Guedes, who's been filling in on the right-hand side, has been raining. Dude, he's been playing really well. It's It's going to be an interesting one. That one, I didn't say that Chelsea would win in my tips and predictions. I said that's if you're feeling froggy, you can bet Chelsea to win. But
I just looked at the history.
Tough.
Wolves won of three of the last four against them.
Yeah, the last one.
And they've all been goals. There's goals in those games when they play against each other. So they've already talked about how Sanchez is as a goalkeeper. So and they're like, if you just look at Chelsea's results, they're so weird. It's the 1-2 loss to Fulham, then it's a 2-0 loss to Ipswich, then a draw at Chelsea. At Palace, and then they beat the Shrimp, which they shouldn't have, but they should have. But and then they have Bournemouth, and it's like they're so inconsistent, and you don't know why. But I think it's here. It's all here because all those teams who they lost to were under them.
Yeah.
And there was talk that they're making a push. And the second they started talking about making a push, they was like, what? Now there's pressure. And I guess they don't know how to deal with the pressure, man. It is what it is.
Hey, Loudmouth Football, what's up?
Who is Loudmouth Football?
No idea.
They have a logo and everything. That's official.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What's up, man?
Now I have to Google that. Well, hello, Loudmouth official.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you hear about Trevor Chalobah though?
No. What happened?
So he's been out on loan at Crystal Palace, right? He's been having a good season, but last season, at the end of last season, or at the beginning, I don't remember when this was, but I heard this recently after they recalled his loan, and he's already back at the club, but before they sent him to Palace, he was like training with the castaway people, like what's his name, Gallagher, that went to Let's Go before he got shipped off. He was like it was like a Sancho thing where he was like eating he wasn't allowed to eat lunch with them or whatever. He was training with the reserves. He was completely frozen out of everything or whatever. And then they pawned him off to Palace. They loaned him out to Palace. And now because Axel Disaster has been horrible and Badiashiel's hurt and Colwell is injury prone and James is injury prone and they have no cover at all. Tosin's not been as good as they expected. They've brought him back. But apparently, from what I've read and what I've heard, it's only so that they can increase his stock to sell him in the summer. Like, they're doing him so dirty, but he absolutely loves the club. So he's just like, yeah, I'm ready to come back immediately. And it makes me wonder, if there was an option in his contract for him to tell them to go F off and not come back from Palace, I would have done that.
Domestic violence, man.
Yeah. It's 100%. I don't know what that is. And what's going to be crazy is he's probably going to come into the Chelsea team and not be as good as he was at Palace. It's just probably just the whole environment. Because like we said, we've been saying the theme of this one tonight, it's all about that mentality, like you were saying. So it's going to be way different than it is at Palace. And he might just come back in and it's still toxic.
Well, I don't really subscribe to age and all that stuff as far as how something is done, because maturity is a self-perpetuating thing. Your age doesn't. There's people who are super young who are mature, so you can figure those things out. So I'm not going to attribute that to age, because there's guys that are young that have showed maturity. It's football is a young man's game, so you have to be mature in your 20s anyway. So you're looking at this and saying, okay, how long do we keep putting it on these guys' age? These guys have been professional ballers, because you don't make it to this level if you haven't been balling for a while. So at what point do you decide to take on the mature sort of mannerisms or route that's supposed to be there? And I'm not saying that they haven't, but there's a mentality in that of, okay, some people are leaders, some people are followers. Your leadership style is connected to how well you play off of someone, and it's not about the plot; it's about the result. Now I stand by. I'm more. I've said this to people. Do I want to be right or do I want results? And I always want the results. always, because the results take care of you later. Like that being right doesn't do anything. That's a badge for you. Results is a badge for everyone. And if we progress as a collective, I don't care if somebody calls me a passenger. As a winner, I'm still a winner. You can't take that winner part off of me. And so, you know,
look at Jack Grealish's winners medals.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is Jack will play somewhere. Like if Jack gets sent somewhere else, he's gonna play. There's teams who want him. So it's not like, you know, he's the people like he sucks. It's just we look at the system. And Jack understood when he came, he had to do that. Like there's got like I do get that there's an inconsistency at Chelsea because, you know, Reece is in and out. But at some point after Reece has been hurt for the 13th time, you're like, okay, somebody else has to be the leader.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that you keep seeing this guy getting hurt. You're like, okay, who can stay healthy and who you don't have to be the best player to be the leader. You just have to be the leader to be the leader. And you figure that out. And so while you want to say maturity, I'm not going to use maturity. I think this is a team of 47 players, you know, and because it's 47 players, even though they don't really use the this term as much as I heard before there, but they're just what do they call them? Mercenaries. That they're all just mercenaries. And if they're all mercs, I mean, then you're never going to be a collective because mercenaries as a group are always looking to stab each other in the back. They're not looking to, you know, to win as a collective. That doesn't do anything for them. I mean, these guys, you know, and you mentioned it, these guys make hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. Do they really care if they lose? I don't think so.
Some of them, maybe a smaller and smaller and smaller percentage of them, I would imagine.
But I don't know if they do, because I mean, like if X and Patrick are here, they would talk about doing it for the badge. And you know, the thing about it is Chelsea, the Chelsea they're talking about, that badge is in the rearview mirror, and it's getting really distant. And I mean, while I know they spent money on guys, they spent money on guys that believed in what they were spending money on. They understood they like, hey, we're dumping money in this thing, but we have a goal. What we're dumping money. Yeah, we're going to get paid, but we still want this thing. Yes, we get money along the way, but we get even more money if we win. And I don't know if that really has materialized in the mentality for some of these guys.
That's what blows my mind about so many different teams and different players who they seem to like, especially some of the owners of the different teams in the league, not necessarily your owners. The city ownership have shown that they understand that winning creates money. Yes, these clubs are businesses at the end of the day, and the ownership wants to be profitable. I get that. But what I don't get is why these people don't seem to understand that the way to make the most money in this game, in this business, in this sport, is to win. Have you seen the prize purse for winning the Champions League?
Insane.
It's like $100 million. It's like something crazy.
It is.
You know, so like spend 65 M's for Osman, spend the 50 M's for Nico Williams or whatever. Do what it takes because you get the money repaid.
But you give even more because we just taught just the purse of winning it is not the residual of it. Because the residual is you play Club World Cup, you're in other competitions that pay that they just literally you've literally printed money, but you have to win it.
Yeah, that's why I don't get it. That's why I don't get a lack of ambition and why that's why I don't understand Daniel Levy. I'm a huge Daniel Levy fan, by the way. Long may he reign at Tottenham. Love that. Love what he's doing with the place. Absolutely stellar job you're doing there, buddy. Love that.
Are you sure you don't understand him?
I don't understand how you could make more money if your team won things than Beyonce is making you, than the dirt track, than the go-kart track is making you, than the tours of the stadium and the catwalk up at the top and all the bullshit. You can make money, far more money by winning.
If Spurs won any trophy, they would make so much money off of milking it. Just any trophy.
I'm just saying, like,
one. I mean, you saw what they got out the Audi Cup.
Yeah, they've been milking that one for 30 years. But so have I. I've been milking an Invincibles golden trophy that we had made for ourselves for 30 years.
Hey man, you won the FA Cup a couple years ago. You gotta own that. You won a tournament.
Yeah, okay, we own the FA Cup. Woohoo!
Hey man, yeah, you're the most decorated FA Cup team in English history. I mean,
it's awesome.
Hey man, and you've won one in recent history. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not attributing it to your manager, but I am attributing it to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm well aware of Arsenal's history, and that's why I am the way I am. You know, that's why while a lot of younger social media Arsenal fans have their standards right here, for people who have been around and know what it used to be like, that's why, people like Lee Gunner and people like Turkish and some of these, older heads that do content on YouTube are always going on about it's not good enough. It's not good enough. The standards are on the floor. It's not good enough. It's not good because the Invincible League Cup doubles, like winning the league at Anfield, winning the league at Old Trafford, winning the league at White 3-point Lane, like that's Arsenal's history.
And just looking at the banners, and Chelsea has that history too, and so they
do.
Maybe I don't know. If the boys want the old guard to come back and coach them up, I don't know if that works for coaching anymore. Like that manner of coaching, I think the mentality of people is very different now, and the way to mentor people is they either have it or they don't in this moment. And if they don't, then you have to help them see a path for themselves. Like you can't create the path for them. I think the modern human that has taken over their current adulthood needs to see it their way. They have to feel they own the path, and it can't be seen as someone else's, which I understand in independence is fair enough. But sometimes, you owning the path is recognizing that some of the stones that are thrown down there for you to walk on were thrown by someone other than you, and just be appreciative that someone has done some of that stuff. And it's not necessarily, saying you need to tell that person thank you, but you need to understand that there's been things done before that probably can be replicated. And that means that you can go higher than them if you are willing to learn, but that's a choice. Those things are choices.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many things that are, in the way of those kinds of sentiments in the game today. It's the way we put people on pedestals, the way, they are elevated in like everybody's eyes. They really are like,
it's a gift and the curse, man. Like the abuse that whose wife didn't somebody's wife get abused or something like that recently?
Yeah, man. Somebody told Kai Havertz's wife that he hopes she has a miscarriage, and that person needs to be punched in the throat. Like that's just reprehensible, man.
And the funny thing is, my response is not that I wish that same thing on them. Is I wish that their mentality was better. Like this guy plays a game, man.
Yeah,
he plays ridiculous. A children's game. But why would you wish that on his wife who doesn't play sports at all?
It's ridiculous. It's just you can't make sense of it. There's no sense to make of it. It's stupid.
But even we're not trying to tell people how to be angry. Both you and I get upset over our team performing poorly. But if I do destroy something, it's something of my own. I'm going to destroy other people's stuff, and it's something that hold up. Can I replace that easily? I do the math in my head before it gets destroyed, and then
I see red. I kind of see red, and
I've broken things that I wasn't supposed to break. I start doing the math and make sure I can replace it before I see the red. Yeah. But I mean, it's people have to find a balance, man. Football is something you can love. I love the passion of football. I love the passion of fans, and but just. If the highs take you super high, you have to understand that the lows come with it.
Mm-hmm.
They come with it, man.
Trust me. I know all about some lows. Look at the flag behind me.
And like as a City fan, like, is it realistic that City is going to win 5 in a row? Well, I'm going to say no, but they went in thinking they could, but then the season played out the way it did, and it looks the way it looks. I mean, you can't. We're not going to curse the team and curse everybody and say this was all. Hey, man, you can't win something all the time, not because you can't, but because it's unlikely. The probability of that is not real, because if it's something that's sort of limited, everyone can't have it. So you have to find your success in your path.
Yeah. Well said. Absolutely. Well,
this week looks exciting, man.
Yeah, I think on that note, we can go through some of these other ones. Forest are definitely going to beat Southampton, I feel like.
Yes.
Man United Brighton should be fun, though, especially after watching both their games today. Man United need to play better, though. They were terrible and just kind of woke up in the 80th minute. Amad Diallo, bro.
I just saw a meme. It was like, it said Man United, and it was a bunch of black trash bags, and then it said,
and it had the gold one.
Gold. But they looked so bad for so long in that game. I got a buddy who's a United supporter, and he sticks with them, and his rationale is just the Glazers, which I'm inclined to agree with. But and so it's like it doesn't matter who's there. I mean, I think, and United is actually a really good example that a lot of people still go there and support that because of the history they represent. Mm-hmm. And so their delusion is stronger than anybody else's delusion out there. And because what are they in 14th place or something like that? I don't know. I think it's
well, yeah, they would have been in 15th, but that win was massive for them.
Yeah,
so Manchester United are up to 12th. Look at them go.
Yeah, but playing Brighton, man, I think Brighton will come there because like they're going to Old Trafford, and I mean,
if they play like they did today, Brighton will beat them.
Yeah.
Brighton will beat them if they play like they did today. That's for sure.
And so, I mean, if I were going to predict the score for that game, I would call a draw because Brighton is even though they were good today, they've been inconsistent this season. So I don't know what number draw, 1-1, 2-2. There'll be goals. But I would call a draw on that just because I think United is kind of riding on theirs too, but I think they're still bad.
I think my tips and predictions for that one in the video, I think I said both teams to score. So yeah. Nailed on. Everton hosting Spurs. That's gonna be tough.
I think Spurs are gonna smoke them. I think Spurs.
I can see it because Moyes had them playing higher up the field against Villa. Villa had a lot of space, like way more space than I expected, based on what Everton are doing this season. I think Moyes pushed them up the field a little bit.
And Spurs score now. Spurs will score. Well. They will score on you, though.
Calvert-Lewin hasn't scored in 16 games. It's not looking good.
If this is me, I'm a 3-1 on this one. I think Spurs win 3-1.
They might get smoked, yeah. And Spurs are all over the place, so
But they're scoring. They will score them.
Oh, they'll score. They'll definitely score. That's for sure. I think the only other one we haven't mentioned is West Ham hosting Palace, and West Ham are kind of doing something new as well.
Yeah.
This one's weird. This one was weird, man. I didn't really know what to do for my tips and predictions. The West Ham Palace.
Another London derby.
I think I went with both teams to score.
Now, let me look because I don't know, man. Like,
it's tough. That's a tough game. It's just like because I don't know exactly what
they're undefeated in their last 5, Palace.
Right.
But I mean, they're also not that great, so I don't know.
Yeah, but the game before the last 5, they got smoked 5-1.
Hey, man, but we got to look at current form. I mean, we can't go back that far, because
I think it'll be a really, really interesting game. And were it 2 weeks ago, I would have said Palace are going to win 3-0.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a lot more competitive. I'm very interested to see if he runs that same lineup. Because Souček in the cam with Paqueta as the number 9 up top, that was weird. But it worked. It worked.
This is not fully X where it's a 0-0, but this is a draw to me too. Just looking at it, The Leicester Fulham. Now Fulham is going to smoke Leicester.
Oh yeah, Leicester Fulham. Yeah,
Fulham
will win that game.
Fulham is going to smoke Leicester. There's no nil-nillers here.
No,
there's goals
What's
in all
the
the
other
games.
one?
There's goals in every one of these games.
Yeah, there's one more I'm missing.
Because you got Brentford and Liverpool, Leicester and Fulham.
Yeah, that's the one we haven't talked about is Brentford Liverpool.
Dude, it's at
game.
Brentford. Yeah, it's at Brentford.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a really good game. And if Poole, they kind of need to wake up.
Starting to feel the pressure. I think they're starting
to wake up a little bit. Do you think it's the contracts?
I think they're starting to feel pressure now, man. And the reason I think they'll feel it in this one is because even though they're through in the Champions League is for them this week too. Yep. So you got that double thing on there. Yep. So now because for a while their focus was just like, we're in England. Now they got Champions League coming back. There's the pressure because they're still undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. So so you want to kind of carry that on. So they might be looking past Brentford, and I think Brentford is not the team to do that.
Did you know that Johan Wissa just passed Ivan Toney for goals at Brentford?
Really?
Mm-hmm. And Bumo is like right behind him.
Oh boy,
he's gonna do it this season. He'll pass Toney this season as well. Like they're neck and neck. And if you give them any opportunity, they're gonna sink it.
They shoot, man. They
sink
shoot,
it, dude.
They shoot.
And Bumo is another player who I wouldn't mind at Arsenal, but he doesn't fit Arteta's mold. And he doesn't work enough defensively for Arteta's liking. So
I can see that. I do think Poole will win this game.
I think
it'll be a 2-1. I think Poole, because I think Salah will be solid this game.
That's the thing. When Salah's on the run and killing it, scoring goals, getting assists, Poole are crushing teams. Shut Salah down,
then they're not.
And it looks a little dicey. Yeah. They've struggled. Couldn't beat Poole. Struggled against United. Couldn't beat Forest. Yeah. And Salah was non-existent in all three of those games.
Yep. But I think he figures it out because I think he figures it out. I don't think the team does it for him. I think he figures it out. Because I'm just being honest, they drop points here, man. The footsteps will be loud.
But for me, the quality that Salah has, you're never gonna he's not going to be quiet for the rest of the season.
No, you don't count him out.
He's gonna dump on multiple teams before it's all said and done with.
Yeah,
so
that's why I think they'll win this one.
They'll be spacing this one. This is going to be basketball, man. This is NBA style. It's going to be back and forth, dude. It's going to be back and forth. Should be a really, really fun. And I'm praying to the football gods for some bees and honey.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, I know Forrest is, so for sure you are.
Oh yeah, dude. Forrest. Absolutely crushing it, man. Chris Wood, that's why he's on the thumbnail. Because Chris Wood is a killer, dude. Absolute killer, man. He's so efficient. They're gonna crush Southampton.
Yes, they are.
It's gonna be a bloodbath. Man. I wouldn't mind Chris Wood at Arsenal. He's the profile we need at Arsenal.
You have to give them a ton of money, but then I saw some video that said, "Oh, well, Forrest is spending bunches of money and blah blah blah." I'm like, dude, come on, man.
There's no way.
Come on, man.
Wood is leaving Forest in January in the next 2 weeks. No. There's no chance. No. I don't think he's leaving in the summer. He's staying there, man. Why would they're challenging for the league? Why would he do it?
Yep.
They're up there, they're literally with us, so they win, we win, they win, we win, they win, they're right there. And if Arsenal are in the title race,
Forest is.
They're definitely in. They're definitely in it. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a really spicy weekend. The tips and predictions video will drop in the AM, 7 a.m. to be exact, is when I usually get that out. So that will definitely be out tomorrow. Don't forget to have the notification bell on so you know when that drops. Of course, go ahead and get the likes up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's been a good one, and we're certainly looking forward to a good one. Crunke out, and so are we.